Welcome to the Rusted Garden. Today is June 16th. This video is all about revitalizing your old container mix. I'm going to show you how to do that with peat moss, coco coir, add in some fertilizer. Do it inexpensively and really make something better than you can buy in the store. We're going to save these old herbs that grew in these flower boxes last year, overwintered, get them all taken care of. I'm going to set that space up there. That's what I set up last year using the metal frames from shelving.com. It really added space to my garden. This was all my seed starts. Now that it's the middle of June, they're all going to get removed, and this is all going to become flower boxes in an herb garden. Using her frames from shelving.com, you can really add space to your garden. You can see right in here, this is a 3-tier frame. They're rusting. If you see the rust on there, that was actually set up for me because I wanted a patina that was rust for the rusted garden. I will put in the links. You can go over to her website and see if there's a shelving system that can really add space to your garden. This was all my cool weather crops. Now that it's warm weather, I'm transitioning it over. That's basil. I'm going to show you how to set that up. But we're going to take care of all my old flower boxes, all my old container mix, and really set up this space. And then when this video is done, I'm going to wait a week and just show you how beautifully everything came in. All right, let's get started with revitalizing your container mix. You can actually make a better container mix than you can buy, and it's going to cost you a lot less money. This is a 3 cubic foot compressed bale of peat moss. It'll cost you anywhere from $12 to $14. You could also use coco coir. They come in compressed bricks. You just have to add water to this before you start using it. Now, pretty simple. If you were making this for the first time, you could use soil from your earth beds. Do 50% peat moss, 50% earth from your garden, mix it together. You have a great basis for a starting mix. I'm going to use my container mix from last year. Remove any weeds, take out the roots that are in there, get rid of them. If you're using your old container mix, you're going to do about 1/3 peat moss to 2/3 your old container mix. Break up the root system. They will break down. They're basically organic fertilizer. And then just mix the new peat moss right into the old container mix. So if you're using old container mix, 1/3 peat moss, 2/3 old container mix. If you're doing this from your earth beds for the first time, 50% peat moss, 50% topsoil from the ground. Any big roots, go ahead and remove them. And something about this big, we're just going to take about 1 tablespoon of organic fertilizer. Any fertilizer that's near a 5.55 is perfect. And this is a great way to make a really cheap, inexpensive container mix that's really going to hold water. You don't have to follow this exactly. It's the general principles. Take a new container, just fill it up. It's nice and light. It's going to hold a lot of water, and this will get me started for moving the old plants into a new container. And I will just continue that all the way through until all my containers look something like this. All right, this is how much I got from just cleaning out the containers that were right in this space. What's left are herbs that overwintered, so we're basically going to dump them out and then cut them into pieces. I'll show you how to do that. But just cleaning up the other boxes that didn't have any herbs in, adding in, about 1/3 to 50% peat moss. It doesn't have to be exact. Don't go past a 50-50. This is how much I got. So in a flower box about that size, a small size, we just added about about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons into that mix. We're going to add more before we plant. But that's just the general way to refresh everything. I have some old mix that was in my 5-gallon buckets. I'm going to make more because that whole place right in there is going to be filled with flower boxes. Let me get to that, and then we will come back, cut these up, get them into the boxes. Then we'll get to the basil, some other herbs. I may even go out to the store because right now, middle of June, all your herbs are going to be on sale at Home Depot and Lowe's. Now the cool things about the frames from Shirley Simple Shelving is they don't require any tools. The boards just slide in, so you can set this up in minutes by yourself, and then you can take it down to put it away in the winter. You don't need any tools. All of my containers have holes in it. You always want good drainage. Of course, if you let your containers dry out, that's a problem. But if you also let water sit in your containers, that becomes a bigger problem sometimes because the root systems rot out. So I've got a lot set up, dumped out one of the flower boxes. That's thyme over there. Just cut it right down the middle. These are chives, cut it, and these are garlic chives. Now, what you want to do to transition them into the box is basically give them a really big haircut. Cut them back. Chives are practically indestructible, so just cut everything back for those and just trim it up, remove anything that looks like it was dying. Same thing with the thyme, cut it back. We're going to fertilize the container mix. Even though we put a little bit in when we were revitalizing it with the peat moss, we're going to add more when we drop in the plants. We're also going to water these in with a water-soluble fertilizer. The whole key for herbs is to get them growing so you can use them in your kitchen. Now the garlic chives look pretty good. I might go through and just clean out some of the pieces that are yellowing and dying, but I'm not going to cut that back. So these are going to get dropped right into a flower box. We'll get to planting in a little bit, but I'm going to do this with all of them. The mint could probably stay in that container, but I'm going to divide that up the same way, get everything set up on my shelves here, and then we'll get to fertilizing, planting, feeding, and dropping in the herbs over here that, again, herbs are almost indestructible. These have been getting beat up for weeks and they're still there. So we're going to get those into containers. I have my containers set up, dropped in the different herbs. I'll do a close-up of planting them and I'll show you putting in the fertilizer. But they're all pretty much set up. I'm going to have the chives to the right, garlic chives to the left there. Up top is going to be the English thyme. That's lavender up top. Mint's down at the bottom, more thyme, mint, oregano, mint, parsley right there. Those are all the chives I started. They've been doing perfectly fine in there. They're almost indestructible. I'll fill up that entire box. I use a lot of chives. We have lavender. The boxes over here are empty because as we plant, I'm going to have to move some of the container mix into empty containers. That's sage, and in the empty containers I'm going to drop in basil, cilantro. I'll show you how to do that. But this is a nice space packed full of herbs, and again, after I put them in, I'm going to wait a week, show you how they look, and then I'll release the video. But this is going to be a really nice looking space. Alright, well, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to get these planted real quickly. Let's start right up at the top. Loosen up the root ball. I did that already. It's alright if you break up the roots. Again, herbs are really resilient. This box is a little weird that the bottom comes up high in the center because it actually sits on railings, but I still like it. In a space that wide, 1 to 2 tablespoons of an organic fertilizer. Just mix it through nicely. I think I said in a previous part, I just said 1 to 2 tablespoons. It didn't finish my sentence, but when we set this up, it was 1 to 2 tablespoons of fertilizer in about this much of the refreshed container mix. We're just going to drop this in, and where I have to, I am just tearing these roots out. Throw them right onto the tarp, loosen it up with a lot of fertilizer in the soil with the water soluble feeding we're going to do. These guys will take off nicely. Just press it in there nice and firm. Don't worry about damaging anything. If you need more container mix, just take it from another box. You can always make more. We really want to press it in. You don't need to keep your container mix real loose and fluffy because of the peat moss. It's going to be loose enough. Just really press it in. You can see how hard it's going. And then I'm just scraping container mix right on there. This is all we need to get the thyme going. Alright, same thing for the chives. Now you can notice that this box is longer. It's going to slide back there. The greenery is going to be right here. Extra space under there will really just be for the root systems to grow. So clear out some of the container mix. Again, standard 1 to 2 tablespoons of the organic fertilizer. Mix it in. Clean up a space for the chives. Loosen up the bottom. I mean, you can just see the masses of roots. And just drop it in there. Press it in. No need to be gentle. That's set. We'll do the same thing here real quick. Fertilizer, mix it through. That's the garlic chives. Just shove the roots down there. It's just really that easy. I mean, how many times have I said herbs are pretty much indestructible? Okay, let's work our way down. Alright, so we'll do the mint, the thyme, the lavender, and the chives, just to give you an idea of how to do it. It's a little bit different. First we're going to refill the space here. Don't worry about making a mess, because we're going to rinse everything down and then we're going to feed everything with a water-soluble fertilizer. About, of course, 2 tablespoons of organic fertilizer. Mix it in nicely. Press in your container mix, and you're just going to pop out 1 lavender, 2 lavender. If this grows really large, at the end of the season I'll plant it into the ground. Loosen the edges gently, and then we're just popping them in. 1 in the back. We're going to pop the one in the front right to the level here. And now we got our lavender in. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Alright, the mint. Let's bring the container over. Let's remove a good amount of container mix. Some fertilizer. Mix it through. Just grab it like you're grabbing a ponytail. Drop it in and fill. Let's add some more over here. Just get a lot of soil in there out of your container mix, and that'll be good to go. For the thyme, you could cut this back. I'm not going to do it for this right now. Maybe I will in about a week. Your general tablespoon, mix it in, free up a hole there, pop it out of the container. We're just going to go to about here. Press it in. We got our thyme planted. Same thing with the other one. Just take off any of the dead leaves. And this is what you would do if you went and you bought some of your herbs at Home Depot, Lowe's, or wherever you might pick them up. Now, up top we have the chives. I think the left side's a little bit out of the camera, but the side over here you'll be able to see. This is going to be 2 or 3 tablespoons across the top. Mix it in. And then the chives just take out. You're going to see what the roots look like. Really, really tangled. Break them up. Indestructible. Do that for all 6 of them. And just work your way down, breaking up the roots. You can't really fail with chives. Break these up. And all you're doing, press it in, dig a hole right to about here, pop it in as close as you really want to put them. These are going to grow quickly, and I'll have plenty of chives for whatever I need them for. And I enjoy scrambled eggs with chives. Alright, I might give them a haircut after. Let me get the rest of the herbs in. We'll get to planting the seeds, and then we'll water them in, and I'll show you how it looks at the end. Okay, everything's planted. Now we're going to do basil up there, cilantro up there. Soil's been set up just as I've done all the other stuff with the 1 or 2 tablespoons of the organic fertilizer. Couple of tips. Do not buy basil as seed starch. You're going to pay like $3 for a basil, or same thing if you're buying cilantro. These plants really grow quickly when it gets warm. If you're buying them as transplants, you're paying too much. By the time you get them into the ground, they're just going to flower. They're not going to have the flavor you want. A pack of basil is about $2 or less. I actually sell these at my seed shop for under $2. You're going to get that much basil seed, and all you're going to do is take a pinch, sprinkle it over the top, gently mix it in, 1/4 of an inch deep, pat it down, and then we're going to water this in. I'm going to show you the water-soluble fertilizer at the end. That's all you do for basil. Still have plenty of seed. You can put this in other parts of the garden. When this grows and it's about 4 or 5 inches somewhere else in your garden, drop some more basil. This way you continually have fresh basil. Once basil begins to flower, the flavor changes. Cilantro, same thing. A pack of cilantro, it's going to cost you $2 or less. Grab a pinch. Now, in these are actually pods. There's more than 1 seed per little ball. Sprinkle them down there. Basil you can plant a little bit deeper, so you want to just make sure you get down about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch deep. If you see any sticking up, just poke them down. And now we're going to have plenty of basil, plenty of cilantro, that easy. Alright, let's get to watering everything in. Okay, everything's been set up. I do like a little bit of symmetry, so I set the containers in a way that they are symmetrical left to right, something I personally like. I really recommend going to ShirleySimpleShelving.com, see if they have a bracket system for you, because you can really grow on a tiered shelf system, save yourself space, and look at just how much is really packed into there. We used peat moss to refresh the container mix, saved a lot of money, still have at least a 1/2 bag there. So now we're going to get to watering. Use any water-soluble fertilizer you want. Water-soluble means the N, P, and K nutrients are going to be ready right away to your plants. And just water in just like this. I want to show you the quantity of the water-soluble fertilizer I'm putting on there. You don't have to overdo it. You're just giving it a quick drink. This is 1 gallon. Just follow the directions on whatever fertilizer you're using. And again, water-soluble means the nutrients are going to be immediately available to your plant. And the whole goal with herbs is to get a lot of leafy growth, so you have the herbs for your table. Again, don't need to use a lot, just a little bit to get them going. That's sage. And then water in your seeds, and you're good to go. Alright, let these grow. I'm going to come back next Sunday, show you the growth, and then, well, you won't know it, but I'll be launching the video to you, and you can just see how easy it is to grow your own herb garden on in a space just like this. So it's actually been 14 days, and this whole area has been growing off of that one feeding that I did at the beginning of the video. I'll go down the line and tell you what's going on. But this whole space was set up using the shelving system from ShirleySimpleShelving.com. Everything looks great. These are the garlic chives and the regular chives. The thyme is coming back. It's starting to get a lot of green in there. We're getting hailed on right now and it's raining. Have rosemary, that's lavender right up there. One kind of mint. The mint is really taken off. It's doing wonderfully. Thyme, more mint. All the chives are looking great. Better go inside. The lightning's flashing. That is oregano. That really took off. Some more mint. Woo. Parsley, sage. That is the rosemary. Just want to show you 2 weeks later how much basil's already coming up. Don't spend money on the $3 plants at Home Depot. Just get a pack of seeds. These are going to take off. And right down there is my cilantro. All of it looks really good. Hope you enjoyed the video. Get some idea of how to set up an herb garden. Use shelving units to build space. And this is a great way to kind of reuse your old container mix. Save yourself some money. Thanks for watching.